Before we start this podcast, I want to say that every project I have pretty much has a village behind it, and this one is no exception. I want to thank the patrons who stepped in on my Kickstarter to really make sure that this got off the ground. Denise Grady, Caden White Wadham, Amanda Peak, Todd A. Davis, Jay Grant, and Corey Watson. Without you guys, I wouldn't be sitting here talking with the awesome guest that I'm about to talk to. Thank you so much.
No one wants to have their parents pass. Is there any part of you that goes, I miss her, but I'm glad that she's gone because I'm where I'm at right now?
Yes.
Welcome to It's Your Loss podcast, where raw stories of resilience and healing are told, all while uncovering and destigmatizing the diverse symptoms of loss.
Welcome back to the podcast. If you missed any of the promos or anything before this episode, well, it's your loss. I'm Michael LeBlanc, the host of It's Your Loss podcast, and with me today is Edith Rosenblatt. She is the host of the Naked Onion Mystery Tour podcast. She's got a lot to say. Well, she wanted to say she had a lot to say about the patriarchy and women, but I'm also here to probe her brain about anything that's gone on in her life about loss, which she said there's plenty to go there. Edith, how are you?
Hello. I am well. How are you, sir?
I am doing well for episode. I'm calling this episode 0 because this will be the one where we find out what kinks we have in the tablecloth before we just spread everything out. So,
And you couldn't have a better guest for that.
I'm starting to feel that.
All the kinks. I'm ready for the kinks.
God, aren't we all?
Yeah.
Well, Edith, this is your chance. Tell some people about you. What brings you here?
Well, I have to say that in 2018, my mother died. I just wanted to give you the premise to the beginning of my journey and like what kind of stimulated that. When she was alive, it was, you have to go to nursing school. Actually, we're thinking about medical school. You should be a nurse practitioner, this, and this. It was very motherly instructed life. My life was instructed by her. I did everything
Sure.
she told me to do. But in the back of my mind, I was an absolutely different person. Yes, I was an amazing nurse. But in the back of my mind, I'm an artist, first and foremost. I'm very esoteric in my way of thinking. Painting, photography, all of these things I put on the wayside. I didn't do any of it. And even when I was in my 30s, I was thinking about doing a rag. Back then, we didn't have the internet quite like it is. I wanted to do almost like a comic book called The Liberated Onion.
Yeah.
So in 2018, my mother died, and she was the one that dictated literally every step, all the moving parts in my life.
Yeah.
So when she died, it was almost like, okay, what do I do next? And I didn't know. I didn't know. My family left the state. My dad pretty much, he didn't want to have anything to do with me because of his grief. So I ended up buying my first place. I had lived on my parents' property for as long as I can remember, and I was her caregiver. So I moved off the property.
Right.
Here I am laying in bed night after night. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I started listening to my own inner voice. And my inner voice was saying, because I had met Kevin Smith also when my mom was alive. And he told me to start my own podcast a long time ago. He did a show at, what was it? There's improv.
Okay.
Ybor Improv.
Was it one of the ones that were recorded?
I don't know if it was recorded. I don't think so.
I love Kevin Smith's stage show, and I'm not gonna lie, a little bit envious that you met the guy. That's awesome.
Man, he's tremendous. If you can get the opportunity, he is so loving and so kind, and he's so grateful. And that's why one night I was in bed and I'm laying there and I was sleeping. It was before a shift.
Mm-hmm.
And I wake up and I was like, Naked Onion Mystery Tours podcast.
Just came to you,
Yep.
beamed into your head.
Came into my head, and I haven't stopped since.
Wow.
I met Kitty Rebellion and Mel the podcaster. They podcast with me now.
That's awesome.
I just had Mary Catherine McDonald. She is
Wow.
Mary Catherine, PhD. She just wrote a book called Unbroken. The trauma response is real.
I saw that TikTok video that you duetted with her. She was awesome. Like I was hooked the moment she started talking.
Brilliant. This woman is brilliant. I've had Adam A. Vidable. He's a comedian. He also has a podcast. It's called Dating Kind of Sucks. And he comes over to our podcast. I'll have to hook you guys up. I mean, he is also a tremendous human being. I'm in love with everybody that comes on, just the stories they have to tell. We also have Astro Poets come on. She's written a book of poetry. She's
Nice.
a physics professor. So I'm telling you, this journey, Naked Onion Mystery Tours podcast, we're there to be the friend parent to women they didn't have when they were growing up, basically.
Yeah, that's severely important. I have a tendency of throwing the word stupidly in front of it. I don't think it fit at that point. That's stupidly important. But
It is stupidly important.
It is. And it's a simple concept that, people don't really realize that we're really looking for a lot of things to be fixed and or augmented from when we were young. And so meeting somebody who can see the sunshine in people and really address that and kind of latch onto that and magnify that the way that I see that you've been doing. Edith, that's amazing.
Namaste, my friend.
Hey, is it namaste to you? Is that the great way to say that?
I see the light, yes.
Okay, all right.
The light in you. I see the light in you.
I just learned something today.
Yes. It's when I believe a part of our TikTok community, and I'm a part of your family now. You're a part of my family.
Oh, yeah.
We're just all interconnected and we're a part of each other's family. And when you can see the light in another human being, instead of being judgy or critical or any of those things, like is that Stitch? Do you have Stitch? Stitch or Spider-Man?
Oh, this is Spider-Man. This is definitely a Spider-Man shirt. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I've got Stitch. I don't know.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that.
Yeah. Stitch is he's an alien.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's my alien.
My wife is a huge Disney fan. And so there's a lot of Disney memorabilia, little pieces, odds and ends here. Well, heck, one of her Christmas presents one year was when Disney came out, Disney Plus. I'm like, I know you're going to want to watch it. She's like, yes, I do.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you specifically mentioned about the loss of your mom. I think you told me that over a text or a phone call or something like that. But I was looking at other things on here, and I'm not going to lie, I saw like 5 or 6 other different points of loss that probably has shaped you, probably either before then. I don't know. I'm pretty sure your transformation journey, no, it doesn't just start at 2018. You said that you had a shift from Barbie mentality to believing in extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
Which was a great sentence, and which was top of my list. I was like, I want to know about that, which I saw as, almost like a loss of a childhood mentality. It's a change, but a change is also losing something and gaining something else. Doesn't necessarily trigger the grief response, but I just want to know, what was the point of transformation when you went, I believe in extraterrestrial life?
Well, it's Barbie mentality to me, especially in my childhood. I believed everything my mom told me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My mom came from a very repressed era, 1943 Texas. They discriminated. You believed in government. You believed in government. No questions asked. You just do as they say. You do as your doctor tells you.
Wow.
You do,
Very regimented.
yes, you're very obedient. And it was always about being obedient. And I have to tell you, I'm neurodivergent. Okay. I have ADHD. There are a lot of special things about me.
Yeah.
So trying to be obedient, thinking about it, I didn't start really thinking about how I was acting. And that's exactly what it is. It's an act. I had all these things, like I am pan, I am gender neutral, I am non-binary, these are all the things, the words that I use to describe myself now.
Right.
Then I'm a woman. I would have never worn a hat like this. I would have
Love
never
that hat.
I would a stitch sweatshirt. What do you mean? But I was repressing all of my feelings. Being an artist is first and foremost who I am. So this past year, it all came to a head. I sold everything I own. I sold my house. I got rid of everything in my house, all my furniture, all my clothes. I packed up my car and I moved out to New Mexico. And I spent the entire summer trying to figure out who I am. There's no question
That's kind
anymore.
of brave. I'll be honest with you. Like I'm a Buddhist myself. I'm not the best Buddhist in the world. I kind of like some of the things that I have. It's hard there. I've gotten to the point where I'm a lot easier at easy come, easy go when it comes to losing things or gaining things. Materials, I'm trying to not see them so much as a stagnant thing in my life. But like uprooting and like just me moving across state was huge for me. Like I did it because of love. I don't know if I could have done it just because of like personal ideology. That's amazing.
I'm in love with me. I am in love with me. I
Nothing
can
wrong with
pick
that.
up and leave at any time. I have a partner right now, but I have the kind of partner that says, because I'm going back to New Mexico, I have to. There's a lot of hiking I haven't done. I want to start mountain climbing. There's things that I want to do. And this partner that I have right now is like, go, babe, go.
Nice.
As long as we have a phone, we'll be okay.
That's important. That's huge. Having a partner who's willing to do that.
Yeah.
There's too many partners out there is going, hey, if there's not room for me on your journey, then, is it even us? And that's not healthy. And I'm so glad you have that.
Yeah. I mean, well, and it's reciprocal, right? So I told him, whatever you need for you, do that. And I don't do any punishing behaviors towards him. I don't get angry.
You mentioned on here you had a shift away from, you put Jeebus, which I hadn't seen it written down like that in a while. And I saw that, just kind of made me smile. It kind of reminded me a little bit about my past when I was like traveling from Christianity to where I am now. Where do you find yourself now? And when you did move away from Christianity, was there any like existential problems? Like, did you get like worried, or like were you like, oh man, I'm turning my back? What if I'm wrong? Anything like that?
So the shift was more, so the patriarchy is where Christianity in the United States is today. It's a very codependent relationship between the parishioners at the church, the pastor, and everyone. And I noticed this before I left to New Mexico. I had a patient who was a pastor of a church, and he invited me. It had been a while since I'd been to the church. He invited me to church, so I went. And I remember the weeping and the weeping and the reaching out and the singing and all of that. So I was doing that, and it was very moving. And in the beginning, I'm only giving like $20 in the pot. $20 in the pot.
So you're more in charismatic style
Yeah, well,
worship,
it's Episcopal, whatever.
right?
But I was definitely in a place where I just want to be free of guilt and shame. Guilt and shame. No more guilt and shame. So I would show up to this church and I would literally let go, give all the guilt and shame away. And like I said in the beginning, I was only giving like $20 a go. Well, they have a large Hispanic community, and me loving the technical aspect of things, they needed headsets so that the translator could be heard to the parishioners, and they needed a certain amount of money. So me being me, and I wanted that for them, I just started giving a couple hundred here, a couple hundred here. But then I started noticing that the pastor, my patient, was starting to call me. Hey, do you need anything?
Huh.
Do you need any help with anything? Do you need any groceries? Do you need any this? And sure. I went and I tried they have a kitchen and they have food, and they put together food for me. And I thought that was really sweet. But what I was seeing, pardon me, I was seeing more of a codependency they're trying to build with me. You
think they saw a big fish and they were trying to keep you close. Okay.
Yeah. And that's a perspective, right? Like maybe in their minds, they justify their actions in a certain way. I don't know. But my perception in that moment, it was not well received, because I don't want to be somewhere where somebody is trying to hook me and keep me codependent. I don't want to be codependent. I want to feed myself. I'm going to say it. I want to wipe my own ass.
There you go.
I want to make sure that all my own bills are paid. And that's that. I don't want to discuss it with anybody. I don't want to ask permission from anybody.
Sure.
So I started seeing these behaviors. I quit going to church. I quit picking up my phone. They kept trying to call. They had a guy at church trying to date me even. I don't know.
Wow.
Saying he was friends with the pastor and his wife. And I was just not interested.
What year was this?
So this would have been last June.
Oh, okay. So this is pretty recent. Wow. Well, I've left Christianity behind for a while, just because of the fact that the idea of that particular religion was giving me anxiety, and I'm a firm believer that the thing that you're looking to give you peace shouldn't give you anxiety. So that was my own internal perspective of it. But it took me a while. Like I was stepping down. I was like, okay, I'm Christian, but I'm not going to church. Okay, I still believe in God, but I don't know if I necessarily believe in anything. Okay, some of the stories make sense, but not really. I might be considered a Buddhist. How about a Christian Buddhist? Oh, there are other Christian Buddhists online, I found out as I was Googling. And then, which basically for me seems like it's a marriage of karma and the golden rule. And I kind of like just realized that there was like a similarity between the two. And then it took me about a year, I think. And eventually I just let go of the Christian side of things, and I became what I consider to be Buddhist. And the fact that you seem pretty firm on your platform, and this only happening in June, do you have like any lingering, like, where do you consider yourself now?
I'm an aleontologist.
You want to go into depth in that, or do you want people to go dig around for that themselves? What does that mean to you?
What does aleontology mean?
Yeah.
It means that I love the unknown. That's what it means to me. I absolutely adore it. And if it's unknown to me, it doesn't mean that it's wrong, right? I mean, I'm having fun talking with people now that I'm in this space, and I'm not codependent. I'm not sitting across from the table, and I'm not looking at them like, well, you're just a jackass. Everything coming out of your mouth is bullshit. I don't feel that way. I literally do not feel that way. I have such a respect for people and just their journeys. And I'm in a good spot. And I sit back and I get to hear all the great stories and talk to them first, kind of thing.
Where do aliens fit in with that? That's where I'm trying to figure out.
Okay. So when I went to New Mexico, I stopped in Roswell.
I felt like Roswell would have been part of the story. I was right. All right, keep going. Keep going.
I stopped in Roswell and I did speak with a lot of people there. And there's a guy there. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'll have to email it to you. But he has a small podcast that I think his name is also Michael.
A popular name.
Yeah, he actually interviewed his grandfather and his grandfather's friends.
Okay.
All right. So there is proof that there are aliens. I also went to a museum there that has an archive of all the copies of letters sent to the government about aliens. They have I wish I could give you specific names, but there are so many people. Even in Maine, there's been aliens there that have landed there, that have physically landed there. Okay.
If you listen to a lot of the stories, it's like the thing where they say that if dragons didn't exist, then how did so many cultures who are so far away have like very similar depiction of dragons, And it's kind of like the same thing when it comes to Bigfoot sightings, aliens. And I throw Bigfoot in there because I firmly believe that Bigfoot was probably something that did exist and went extinct before we had a chance to actually do anything about it. And because of all that corroboration, I mean, who am I? I've never experienced anything, but then again, I've also never experienced holding $1 million in my hand. But I guarantee you somebody out there has.
If you've ever held $1 million in your hand, let me know. But in the meantime, I want to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Dink, D-I-N-Q, D&D in the coffin hold of the USS Enterprise. It's not just a tale of adventures. It's a journey through the losses, triumphs, and the magic of tabletop role-playing games that helped me heal and kept me alive. Get your copy on Amazon in paperback or on Kindle. Your support keeps my quest alive. Now, let's get back to the story unfolding with Edith.
Right. Or think about there are people that have so that we would in this moment at this time be able to fathom how much they literally dispose of their china that they've spent thousands of dollars. Some of these people are throwing this china away
right
monthly, and it's got gold on it. I mean, I've got a couple of friends on TikTok that clean houses for some of these people, and you wouldn't believe the things they throw away.
I've seen some of those TikToks. It is, it's a variable, like the trash looked like somebody emptied out a nice thrift shop. Like the thrift shop you wanted to go to, but you never got a chance to. Like that's what the trash cans are looking like.
Yep, exactly. Look, I wanted to tell you that Mel, the podcaster, her husband works for NASA.
Yeah?
And when I said yes, and I went to the PodGals experience in Houston, and they took me to NASA.
That's awesome.
Which was, man, you have no idea what that meant.
Closest experience I had is I went to space camp in Huntsville, Alabama for 2 nights. That was pretty cool. But
oh man,
not to the big place itself.
I don't get jealous so much, but I'll tell you, I really, really would like to. Space camp would be great. I mean, if I could go to space, that would be even better.
Well, I'm sure.
I might get sick on the way out, but I'll tell you what, I'd be fine on the way in.
The closest thing I think that I would want to do when it comes to like space exploration would be to do that really deep simulation pool that gives them like the buoyancy effect, so it makes them feel like they're weightless and everything. I think that would be really cool. I mean, you're still in the suit and everything like that. I think that would be awesome. The things we want to do,
Right. I would like to grow plants in space. I grow them here on Earth, which is fine, whatever. but I would like to be in space.
Hydroponics for long-term space travel. From what we understand, that's going to be pretty important. So, if they're not having robots, Matt Damon was growing potatoes on Mars, according to that movie. That's the only thing I've seen of that. Is it good? Because I haven't seen it yet.
It's so good. You have
I need to see
it.
that. I need to see that. All right, so let's see. It's amazing what you're doing. You're almost kind of like going down the list of the things that I had, because the last thing we had was talking about, relationships with the people that you've had while you've been traveling and whatnot. And it's just kind of gone down from there. It's almost like I'm talking to somebody who's run a podcast before. That's it's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the big loss of 2018, where your mom passed away, and also the loss of your family. I mean, let's be honest, because it sounds like she was very much a hub, a matriarchal hub, right?
For everybody,
Sounds like
in our
it.
family. Yeah.
That loss, like I said, my loss generated a lot of change for me. What do you feel like the biggest change past that point was? I mean, it sounds like a lot has happened, but what would you consider to be your biggest change?
Well, after she died, I became very codependent. Very aware of my codependency, right? And codependency at work. Like, I'd be somewhere constantly getting criticism by my boss, and I would stay because it was something I was used to. My mom did that. It felt comfortable to me. And then finally, I'm like, dude, this is not normal. She should not be coming for me like this every single day. As a nurse, you either trust your nurses that work for you or you don't.
Sure.
Especially after COVID. I could tell you, before COVID even happened, I caught COVID at work, and my boss, I stayed home. I was like, I am not, whatever this is, I am not bringing this into the office. I went to my doctor. They didn't have a test for it. It was October. Was that 2018? I think
2020 is when it hit.
2020 was when, oh, okay. So it would have been October of 2020.
Okay.
And I went home that day, and every single day she had one of the nurses that I with contact me at home, asking me when I was coming back into work every single day. And it was so bad that even me not knowing what it was, I didn't leave my house. I wouldn't leave my house. I didn't come back into work until 9 days later.
Makes sense.
And she was so angry at me, and she thought I was faking, and then she got it.
I've heard similar stories like that, especially when it comes to the medical field.
So that's when honey, to work at a restaurant. He was a manager at a restaurant where elderly people, Bob Evans, where elderly people come in, and his boss called, and I picked up the phone, and she was like, we need Sean to come in. And I said, absolutely not. He's not coming in. You're going to have to deal with it. That's what I said.
Good.
That's the point I had gotten to with people. Then, being aware of my codependency, it was almost like lopping people out that I'd never even noticed, that they were dragging me into this vortex of BS. I cleaned out my entire closet of human beings, and, the universe filled my closet. That's the way I look at it.
That's good. That's important. I guess it's important, to find something that's going to fill a void after a loss that is going to be beneficial for you. Not a lot of people see it like that. They kind of think of just grabbing whatever's comfort. And, here's the thing, for each person their own. I mean, some people, they want to surround themselves with as many people as possible and get those comfort items and kind of just like soothe the hurt until they don't think it's going to be as bad later. Or some people tend to wallow. I mean, it's all things, but I'll be honest with you, finding good people to be around to fill that void, that can't be a bad one. I don't think so.
No, that's after my mom died. That's pretty much what ended up happening. I quit filling my closet with people that were like her, that were take, 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 take. My mom needed me to live the life, I guess, that she didn't live when she was younger. So going to nursing school and medicine and all of these things were quite the accomplishment in her book. And now presently I came out as queer to my dad and my brother. And my brother was like, oh, okay. I already knew. He already knew. He already knew. And then my dad was like, oh, Edie, everybody makes mistakes. And I said, oh no, this is not a mistake. This is who I am. And he goes, this is who you are? And I said, yeah, Dad. And he goes, okay.
Wow.
Okay. And he talks to me every single day. And my brother talks to me like 3 or 4 times a week. But I think it was better for them when I came out.
That's good. That's not gonna lie, a little envious. But I think that's because we got different dads. I mean, there was no way I was gonna be able to tell my dad I was bi. Like he almost lost his shit when he found out that I had a crush on somebody that wasn't white. And I was like, well, this is I didn't know it at the time, but there was a little voice that told me, it's like, this is the moment you're not going to tell him much anymore. But no, I'm so glad you had that. And I'll be honest with you, when it comes to like a person who has lost a parent, and lost connections on purpose, like it's not like they were ripped from you of the things that you knew and believed to start new ones. It sounds like it's been a wild ride, but it sounds like it's been relatively smooth. But smooth in the way is like you're being tied to a rocket, but at least the rocket's going in like a good upwards direction.
Well, I have to be honest with you. I had to meditate through all my old fears. And when I was in New Mexico, Carlsbad Cavern really put me in this place of no fear. It was as close to being on another planet. Honestly, if you ever go there, I would love to be there. I would love to be your guide. I know everything about it. I was there for 3 or 4 days.
That's
I
cool.
walked the entire cave all by myself. And when I say the entrance is just mind blowing,
Sure.
mind blowing, it's hundreds of feet. The entrance is hundreds of feet. The entire cavern is as tall as the Empire State Building.
That's what I've heard. And
Yeah.
that mind boggles me. It's hard for me to fit that in my brain.
It's when my whole body was a tingle. I was sweating from pure joy.
Wow.
I was like, because when you walk inside and you can smell the bat dung, which was like home to me, it really was. It was like, oh,
That's a sentence I didn't think I was going to hear. And I'll be honest with you, that might turn into a title. We'll see.
But when I walked into that entrance and you look and you're losing the light from outside.
Mm-hmm.
The deeper you walk in, the darker it is. The only light that you have is the illumination that the park gives you. And it's small amounts of light because light is so destructive to the cavern.
Right.
Even human breath, the oil from your skin and your hair. And I never touched a thing. Your voice raising it over a certain octave, which there were people there. And I will have to say it did get annoying, when you hear these voices raised, because I had such a respect for it going in there. And so I went down the first time down the elevator because I was too much of a chicken shit to walk through the natural entrance. And that was 750 feet down.
It's crazy. I imagine that you would probably have less problem with pressure differential if you walked rather than taking that elevator. I bet your ears were freaking out.
They do. They did a really, really good job. They did.
Well, that's
They did
good.
a job of that elevator, and they're still working on the elevator. And back in 1923, when they first opened the cavern,
Hmm.
you had to go down a wooden ladder.
Wow. Okay. No, I'm not doing 750-foot wooden. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure there were landings. Like you probably had
Yep.
ladder
Yep.
landing, like Donkey Kong almost. That's still wild to me. Like leg and arm day for days. Like wouldn't do anything for 2 weeks after. I would just lay there on the floor, just hope somebody comes and finds me later. We went to the cave system, and I can't remember where it was. It was in Kentucky. Mm.
Oh, yeah.
And the name of it escapes me right now, but it was the first cave I've ever been into. And I mean, the same thing, don't touch anything. The oils from your skin, you could tell where people had touched things because it was like a different color, like a different color black or something like that. Yeah, I told myself I'd have a Google machine up too, but I totally didn't.
Mammoth Cave.
That's it. That's it. And
Mammoth Cave, which is in
um
my book of caves.
it was great. We went during the summer, so it's like natural air conditioning on the way there and also in there. It was lovely. I had some wonderful photography using the lights that they had in there as accent points. That way I didn't bring my own flash. It was just, it was fantastic. Good cave is awesome. And now I just want to see one that's 750 feet deep. That's my
Oh,
next thing I
man.
got to do.
It's for you. It is absolutely for you. And then they have the bottomless lakes in New Mexico.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they have a few of those heading further down south where they were testing them, right? Somebody got lost in it and they were like, "Oh no." So they threw a rope down in there and the rope just went on forever and they were thinking, "Oh, it's just forever deep." And then like finally like somebody from MIT came through with a couple of sensors and whatnot. I was like, "No, this thing just takes a really sharp turn and just keeps going, guys. Like it's oh, yep, there's that dead guy. Yeah. Well,
But the world is flat, don't you know?
yeah, oh, yeah, totally, totally. We have no idea what's beneath all the surfaces. We have no clue. That's a different feeling in itself is when you start to realize that you the world around you is much deeper and stranger than you will ever probably get a chance to see. The unknowns that we keep thinking of tend to be pale in comparison to the knowns that we actually find. And so it just keeps compounding. World's a
I love
wild,
it. I
wild.
love it. It was wild. It was too wild.
So, are you still doing nursing things, or is podcasting your job now, or
So,
what keeps you guide?
I left this up to the universe, and I'm in a really good spot. Eventually, say at the end of 2024, I'm going to be completely done with nursing.
Huh?
Completely done. In this moment, I am not. I love it, and what I do for the people that I take care of, I love that too. And we have such a great elderly population, and they have so many beautiful stories to tell. I don't know how you feel about that, but yeah, I'm still doing that. And I believe the end of 2024, that's when I'm going to retire
Okay.
and be a full-time podcaster.
So, how are you feeling about that? Like, is there any uh, any regrets that the time is coming towards that, or like how is that making you feel that that you're making yourself turn this page on that chapter?
I'm loving it. Okay. So ready for it. I have stopped all extemporaneous spending.
Yeah.
Every penny
I
that
need to do that.
yeah, I'm telling you, no more Starbucks. I'm like, look, I love you, but I'm no longer a fan because every dollar that I make is going towards the podcast.
Okay.
So I don't have time for subscriptions. I don't have time for Temu. I don't have time for TikTok Shop. Time for these things because I know, and I told you, I just bought a $400 mic.
Yeah.
These are the kind of commitments I am making to myself. And I believe I'm completely worth it. And I have met enough amazing people that, I am also writing a book. These are things that I told myself for years. You're a piece of shit. No one's going to read it. No one cares. No one cares. No one this, no one. The ugly stories I used to tell myself, I
Mm-hmm.
quit doing that. I quit.
Were they stories based off your own fears?
Fears that were implanted into my mind by my mother,
Yeah.
by my grandmother, by every woman that prefaced me back to the Barbie scenario.
Right.
The whole women just don't do those things. Okay. They don't believe in aliens. They don't write a book about themselves and what they've gone through. They don't, sure, you voted, but you voted for who your mother told you to vote for. I don't want to live my life like that anymore, where someone else is dictating to me my successes.
And that seems to resonate with everything that you've said so far. That's
Wow.
definitely yeah. I feel the conviction. I feel the conviction in that. This leads me to ask what people may consider kind of a harsh question, but
Give it to me, brother.
both of my parents have passed, and I know the answer to this one for myself. Is there any part of you that, and no one wants to have their parents pass?
No,
Is there
no.
any part of you that goes, I miss her, but I'm glad that she's gone because I'm where I'm at right now?
Yes, I
Isn't-
do miss her. I
isn't-
do.
Isn't that the weirdest damn feeling? Like you spend like your entire, childhood up to whenever your parents actually pass, you're like, I'm glad I have my parents. Everybody says you should be glad you have your parents. You're going to totally miss your parents when they're gone. You're right. You're totally right. But would I be the person I am now if it wasn't for that? No, I wouldn't. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be here, and not just doing a podcast about loss. I probably wouldn't be as creative as I am right now. And there's a freedom in it that almost makes you feel guilty. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you. So my mom is your dad, okay? My mom was a complete racist, and she was a misogynistic female.
Ooh.
She hated other women.
Every time I see one of those in like film or in real life, or if I read about them, I'm not gonna lie, that always kind of gives me like a little bit of shudder, because it's like a Ouroboros, man. It's like they're eating their own tail. Like, where does it end? It ends when there's nothing left. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, she did not age well. My mom did not age well. She was a smoker, and she took a lot of pills,
Wow. Yeah.
And I mean, here I am, a vegetarian, and I drink juice. I have a juicer. My partner bought me a juicer, and I do my own juices, and
Right.
I drink water all day, and it's all about being kind to my liver. It's not about looks. It's not am I sexy to this person? Do I have abs? I don't give a fuck about it.
No, yeah, it's not about looking good. It's about how many more years do I have to keep putting out stuff? How can I make myself live longer to keep experiencing life the way that I want it? Good for you. I need to have more of that, because I got myself to diabetes type 2 just after years of not taking care of my body right and everything. And I've learned, what to eat and what not, but I still hard as hell to kick carbs. I'm just saying.
It's hard.
I'm working on it, but it's hard, because the last thing I want to do is to put the people I love through premature loss before I know that I've left this place better than when I found it. And that's life for me. That whenever anybody asks me what the meaning of life is, that's what I tell them. I want everybody should leave this place a little bit better than we found it, for the people who are coming after us, because it's not about us. And it's not, and when it gets to them, it's not about them. It's just a chain. It's going to keep going until eventually the earth has her fill of us, and she doesn't want to support us anymore. And she just, worldwide
The
extinction
vortex.
event. Right. We all just get thrown down to the slee stacks. Tell me, you know what a slee stack is, don't you? Come on. Do you know what a slee stack is?
I don't.
It is the lizard people from the land of the lost.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Did I did I just unlock a memory that you never thought you forgot?
Yes. Oh my God. I can even see them. I can even picture them
Yep.
in my,
Why
you
does that
know.
live in my head as a word that I could just pull out on vocabulary night? I don't know, but slee
You
stacks live in my brain.
know what? That couldn't be more perfect.
Oh man. Okay. Well, Edith, you've been a joy to talk to, and I don't know how long this episode's actually going to be because I forgot to
That's
set any timers except for what Zoom told me I had no time for. Also, while we were recording, this is just good first episode stuff to know. I ran out of room on my laptop and I had to buy more space on my cloud thing while we were talking. So, what? Hopefully we have all the audio here. If not, I'll patch something together. Again, this is episode 0. People may not even hear this, but
You know what? You know what though?
hmm,
I have to tell you. The universe edits what she wants out.
hey,
And this is how I look at everything. I don't look at law. There's no loss for me anymore. If that means anything to you.
oh, keep
There's
talking. That's
just,
perfect for this podcast. Keep talking about that.
yeah, this is how. So if you want to change your loss, you change your perspective and your beliefs and your ideologies. And what I've done is I used to get so upset, like the shit show that would happen at work where I'd have my boss behind me, beep, 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 beep,
Right.
and bitching at me. And now I just turn around and say, look, unless you have something of value that you are adding to my life, you are taking away from my life. I can't be in an environment like this. If you want me to be here, you have the control. You can walk away right now. However, if, of course, if she's tuning me out and being the complete narcissist that I know she is,
Sounds
there's
like
the
you have
door.
someone specific in mind when you're saying this, but I feel you. So I have an idea for how to kind of end off my podcast for right now,
Okay.
which is to ask the person, given the choice to go back, you don't have to take the choice, but if you do, would you go back and prevent yourself from losing?
I have a daughter. I was pregnant at 19 years old and I didn't know. My mom sent me away because that's what you did. You were pregnant. No one's supposed to know. Oh my
Sure.
God, my daughter's pregnant.
Right.
So she sent me away to Lifesavers Ministries where I had my daughter and she had to get a lawyer to place my daughter with a family that I chose before I even went up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if I could do it all over again, I would keep my kid. That is my child, my daughter. I would have found a way for us both to eat. I would have left my mom. And I look at it like that. I love her. She is tremendous, by the way. She is the vice president at a college. She is
Yeah.
a journalist.
That's awesome.
Know,
I'm glad that you know her. I mean, that's
yeah,
amazing.
it's a gift. Yeah.
Your podcast is aptly named, Naked Onion, because right, the layers you have, lady.
I know.
Excuse me. All right. Well, Edith,
Yeah.
thank you so much. You've got like 2 minutes if you want to plug anything else other than your podcast. If you want to tell people, you talk. You got 2 minutes to plug yourself.
All right. My name is Edith Ivy Rosenblatt. I am the host, producer, and writer of the Naked Onion Mystery Tours podcast. I have a TikTok. I also have a YouTube channel. Please check me out on YouTube. And Mel the podcaster is my co-host. So thank you, Michael LeBlanc, for having me on your podcast. I'm truly grateful and I am touched by you, my beautiful friend.
Well, thank you. This has just been a surprisingly bright and shiny moment talking about the things that have changed us in this life. Thank you so much for that. So that's it for this episode. Tune in next time where I don't tell you about what happened during this episode because, again, this is your loss. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.